Welcome to another deep dive, everybody. This time we're really getting into something fascinating. Santeria.
Fascinating is a good word for it.
Yeah, and we're lucky to have two really great sources on this. One's more academic, like real deep into the history and rituals. The other is a more modern perspective, especially from Cuba, where Santeria is having like a huge resurgence.
It really is.
Yeah. Get ready for some surprises, folks. It's
Yeah.
not what you might expect.
One of the things that really grabbed me about Santeria is how it blends these two seemingly totally different worlds.
Right.
Like, think about it. 19th century, enslaved Africans forced to convert to Catholicism.
Right.
But they're holding on to their Yoruba traditions.
Yeah.
That's how Santeria is born. Talk about resilience.
It's not just blending, though, is it? I mean, it's like,
Well, they're
yeah, it's
right.
weaving a whole new tapestry.
Yeah.
Spiritually, right. Taking elements from both. Our academic source uses this word, syncretism, where they map their Orishas, their deities, onto Catholic saints.
Exactly. It wasn't a one-to-one replacement.
Right.
It was like this clever layering. Okun, for instance,
Yeah.
the Orisha of love and beauty, she finds a parallel in Our Lady of Charity in Catholicism.
Interesting.
And the syncretism wasn't just about faith. It was straight-up survival.
It let them, like, keep their spiritual identity right under the noses of their oppressors. Amazing.
Absolutely.
How they managed to keep such a complex system alive for so long, though? I mean,
That's where oral tradition comes in.
Right.
No written texts or anything, just knowledge passed down.
Wow.
Whispered from elders to initiates through the generations.
Right.
So it's shrouded in mystery, which makes sense. They needed that secrecy to survive.
Adds to the mystique, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
And this mystery, it just deepens with their rituals, right? Our sources mention these special houses called Casa de Santos,
Yes.
led by santeros and santeras, the priests and priestesses where the rituals happen.
Right.
Guarded, of course, revealed only to initiates.
That's right. You got to earn your way in, show real dedication and commitment.
It's like a gradual unveiling of knowledge, huh?
Exactly. Not just anyone can just waltz in and witness these ceremonies.
So, okay, gotta ask, what about these elites?
Ah, yes.
Our academic source mentions them, but doesn't really get into it.
Yeah.
Just says, beaded necklaces, what's the deal with them?
Oh, there's so much more than just beads. Each color represents a specific Orisha. When you wear one, you're signifying this connection to that deity. It's very tangible, very personal.
So like a direct line to the Orishas wearing their energy clothes.
You could say that.
I noticed the source mentions some pretty strict rules about wearing them, though.
Absolutely. You have to treat them with respect, like no intimate moments while wearing them.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, the belief is the Orishas are always watching. Certain activities just require a different kind of focus.
I see. Showing respect, recognizing their presence in your life.
Yeah.
And that's what makes the Orishas so interesting to me, I think. Not just distant deities, but active forces.
Oh, yeah.
Intervening in matters of love, war, healing, even finances.
That's right. They're involved in every aspect of life.
Must be some fascinating stories about their powers, their personalities.
Oh, there are tons. Take Chongo, for instance.
Okay.
God of thunder and passion, often linked to St. Barbara.
Oh, interesting.
Known for a fiery temper, a real penchant for the dramatic.
I bet. I want to get back to this this blending of Catholic and Yoruba traditions for a second.
Sure.
Did it just like incorporate Catholic elements into existing Yoruba ceremonies? Or was it something totally new?
It's a fascinating mix.
Yeah.
Some rituals, you can see the clear Yoruba roots, but they've got Catholic symbols or prayers woven in.
Mhm.
Others are uniquely Santeria, a true reflection of this dynamic fusion.
It's really unique.
It is. The Asiento, for instance,
Yeah.
the most important initiation ceremony.
Right.
That one's seen as a symbolic death and rebirth,
Yeah.
representing this profound connection to the Orishas.
Wow.
Yeah,
Rituals can create profound personal and spiritual shifts, can't they?
absolutely.
Okay, got to address the elephant in the room. Animal sacrifice.
Yeah,
It's part of Santeria. It's something that can be hard to grasp for those outside the faith.
I understand.
Mm.
It's a topic that needs a nuanced understanding.
Mm.
In Santeria, it's not an act of cruelty. It's a deeply sacred ritual
Right.
meant to appease the Orishas and seek their intervention.
So how do you think that Supreme Court ruling allowing animal sacrifice reflects how Santeria is viewed in America today? I mean, given the historical context.
That's a really good question.
It was a landmark, right?
It was. It ruled in favor of practitioners' right to perform animal sacrifice.
So it's accepted legally.
On one hand, yes, it shows legal acceptance.
Yeah.
But it also It really sparked public debate.
Yeah, I can imagine.
There are honestly some misunderstandings.
For sure. Complex issue. We're kind of getting ahead of ourselves, though.
A little bit.
Before we dive into all that, the legal stuff and the modern resurgence of Santeria, let's talk more about the Orishas themselves.
Okay.
You mentioned Shingo and his fiery personality. What about some of the others? Their specific powers and how people connect with them, all that.
Well, you've already met Okin. She's linked with love and beauty, often syncretized with Our Lady of Charity,
Right.
a popular Orisha. Invoked for matters of the heart, but also for prosperity.
Ah, so love and money. Got it.
Well, it's not quite as simple as that, but you get the idea. Each Orisha has a specific domain.
Right.
They represent different aspects of human experience. You mentioned healing earlier.
Yeah.
That's Babalu Ai's realm. He's often associated with St. Lazarus.
Interesting. So someone's ill, they might appeal to Babalu Ai for help.
Yes, and it's not just physical healing.
Oh.
He deals with spiritual and emotional well-being, too. He's a compassionate Orisha. He understands how fragile we are.
I see. It makes you realize Santeria isn't just about, elaborate rituals and mysterious deities.
No.
It's about seeking guidance and support when life gets tough, connecting with something bigger than yourself.
That's it, exactly. It's a living faith woven into everyday life. Speaking of which, our second source takes us to Cuba, where Santeria is having this remarkable comeback.
It really is, not just surviving, thriving. The source suggests it's almost like a symbol of cultural identity now for a lot of Cubans.
It is.
Especially after all those years of being practiced in secret.
Right. You got to think about it. Cuba, complex history, colonialism, slavery, revolution.
Yeah.
Santeria, with its African and Catholic blend, it reflects that complexity perfectly.
It's uniquely Cuban, isn't it?
It is. Offers a way to reconnect with their roots.
Like reclaiming their heritage after years of outside influence?
Absolutely.
What's driving this resurgence now, though? Why is it suddenly so popular, especially with the younger generations?
A few things, actually.
Right.
First, there's a growing sense of cultural pride among Cubans.
Yeah.
After decades of socialist rule where religion wasn't exactly encouraged,
Right.
there's this renewed interest in exploring traditional beliefs.
Like a pendulum swing? A reaction to that imposed ideology leading back to a search for authentic expression.
Exactly. And second, Santeria provides a sense of community. It's not just individual faith. It's about connecting with others who share your beliefs and traditions.
Oh, I see.
The Casas de Santos are like social hubs, places to gather, celebrate, support each other.
So it's filling a social need as well as a spiritual one.
Yeah.
Especially in Cuba where, economic hardship and political uncertainty can make things feel pretty unstable.
Yeah, the community is so valuable in that context. And third, Santeria is seen as a very practical religion.
Practical.
It offers tangible solutions to everyday problems. People turn to it for healing, protection, guidance and love, and finances.
Makes sense. That practicality probably resonates in a place like Cuba where daily life can be so unpredictable.
It does.
But this idea of seeking tangible solutions, doesn't that clash with, the Orishas being powerful deities? If they can intervene, why do people still struggle?
That's a question at the heart of a lot of faiths, isn't it?
Yeah.
Why do bad things happen to good people?
Right.
Even within Santeria, there are different perspectives. Some believe suffering's a test of faith. Others see it as a consequence of past actions.
So, no easy answers.
Sometimes it's about finding strength and solace in the face of the unknown, holding on to hope when things are tough.
And Santeria gives people a framework for dealing with that uncertainty.
Exactly. It's not about escaping hardship. It's about navigating it with the support of the Orishas and the community.
I get it. What about the potential for exploitation, though? The source mentions concerns about people using their religion for their own gain.
It's a valid concern. Like any belief system, there will always be people who might try to manipulate or exploit others.
Right.
But our source focuses on the positive aspects.
Okay.
Its ability to empower individuals, strengthen communities.
It's a good reminder that even within one religion, you have different perspectives, different interpretations, and yeah, sometimes even bad actors. So focusing on the positive, how has this resurgence changed how Santeria is viewed in Cuba? Is there still a stigma?
Well, it's becoming more visible, more openly practiced.
Yeah.
So you could say the stigma's lessening, but Cuba has a long history of religious syncretism. Santeria is not the only faith that's blended with Catholicism.
True. It's a culture that's used to navigating different belief systems. Let's go back to the U.S. for a minute. The Supreme Court ruling about animal sacrifice. Turning point for Santeria's acceptance in American society.
It was certainly significant, both legally and culturally.
I bet.
It affirmed the right to religious freedom.
Right.
But it also puts Santeria in the spotlight, and not always in a good way.
I can see that. Fueled misconceptions and prejudice for some, maybe. For others, an eye-opening experience, a chance to learn.
Exactly. It forced a lot of people to confront their own biases and really grapple with this complex faith.
That's what these deep dives are all about, isn't it? Shining a light on the unfamiliar, exploring different perspectives, ultimately broadening our understanding.
You got it. Santeria is a perfect example. On the surface, it might seem strange, even unsettling to some. But when we dig deeper, understand its history, its beliefs, its rituals,
Yeah.
we find this rich tapestry of human experience, resilience, and faith.
Speaking of discovering, our sources have given us a lot to think about. I still have one question, though, about this whole balance and reciprocity with the Orishas.
Okay.
They keep track of offerings, right?
Right.
But what does that really mean? Like a literal tally, a cosmic balance sheet.
That's a great question. To understand it, we need to delve a little deeper into Yoruba cosmology.
Okay, so let's unpack this Yoruba cosmology. Lots of rules and regulations,
Yeah.
or more of a general harmony with the universe vibe?
It is complex, but at its heart, yeah, it's about balance. The Yoruba believe everything's interconnected, including the realm of the Orishas.
Okay.
So when humans make offerings, it's not about bribing the deities or racking up points.
I see.
It's about acknowledging that interconnectedness, that back and forth relationship.
So more about maintaining a harmonious flow between human and divine.
Exactly. Recognizing we're not separate from the Orishas, we're part of this larger cosmic web. Our actions, our intentions, they have ripple effects. Offerings are a way to show respect, gratitude, to seek guidance and support.
It's not about keeping score, it's about nurturing a relationship.
You got it.
Getting back to the resurgence in Cuba, do you think it's purely about reclaiming cultural identity? Or is there something more?
It's multifaceted, I think.
Okay.
Yes, there's that strong cultural pride element, especially as Cuba's redefining itself in the 21st century.
Sure.
But it's also about seeking meaning and purpose in a world that's changing so fast. Santeria provides this spiritual framework that's grounded in tradition, but also adaptable to modern life.
It's fascinating, right? This ancient faith, roots in West Africa, brought over through the trauma of slavery, and now it's finding new life in a globalized world.
It is.
Speaks to the enduring power of human spirituality, don't you think?
Absolutely. And the fluidity of culture, too. Santeria isn't stuck in time. It's constantly evolving, incorporating new influences, adapting.
That's what makes it so interesting to explore. Challenges our assumptions about what religion is, what culture is.
It does.
Reminds us nothing's truly fixed, everything's always changing.
And that's a valuable lesson, especially in a world that can feel so polarized, so divided.
I agree.
Santeria, with its history of syncretism, its ability to blend and adapt, it's a powerful model for understanding and tolerance.
You've hit on something important there. In a world where differences are often seen as threats, Santeria reminds us that diversity can be a source of strength,
It can.
of creativity, resilience. It shows us we can hold on to our own traditions while embracing the richness of other cultures.
Precisely. Santeria is a testament to human adaptability, the spirit of faith, and that ever-evolving tapestry of culture.
Well said. I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive into Santeria, but before we go, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought. If Santeria, with its unique blend of traditions and its ability to thrive in the face of oppression, can teach us anything, it's that faith and culture aren't static. They're living, breathing forces that shape and are shaped by the human experience. And in a world that's constantly changing, that ability to adapt, to evolve, to embrace the new while honoring the old might be the key to not just surviving, but thriving. So keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep your minds open to the infinite possibilities of human belief and expression.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's not just physical healing either. Babalu also deals with spiritual and emotional well-being too. He's a compassionate. Orisha understands how fragile human life can be.
Makes you realize Santeria isn't just about these elaborate rituals and mysterious deities.
Like
It's
that.
about, seeking guidance and support in the face of life's challenges, finding a way to connect with something bigger than yourself.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
a living faith woven right into the fabric of daily life. And speaking of everyday life, our second source takes us to Cuba, where Santeria is having this remarkable resurgence.
Yeah, you're right. It's not just surviving, it's thriving. The source even says it's become like a symbol of cultural identity for a lot of Cubans,
It has.
especially after years of being practiced in secret.
When you think about it, Cuba's got this really complex history. Colonialism, slavery, revolution.
Yeah.
And Santeria, with its blend of African and Catholic traditions, it reflects that complexity.
It
It's a
does.
uniquely Cuban faith.
Yeah.
It's a way to reconnect with their roots.
Almost like reclaiming their heritage after years of external influences. But what's driving this resurgence now, specifically? Why is Santeria suddenly becoming so popular, especially among younger generations?
Well, there are a few factors at play here. First, there's this growing sense of cultural pride among Cubans. After decades of socialist rule where religion was often discouraged, there's this renewed interest in exploring traditional beliefs and practices.
So it's kind of like a reaction to a period of imposed ideology, leading
Yeah.
back to the search for authentic cultural expression.
Right. And second, Santeria offers a sense of community and belonging. It's not just about individual faith, it's about connecting with others who share your beliefs and your traditions. The Casa de Santos serve as these social hubs, places where people can gather and celebrate and support each other.
It's filling a social need as well as a spiritual one, especially in a place like Cuba, where economic hardship and political uncertainty can create a sense of instability. This kind of community can be incredibly valuable.
Absolutely. And third, Santeria is seen as a very practical religion.
Practical.
It offers tangible solutions to everyday problems.
Yeah.
People turn to Santeria for healing, for protection, for guidance in love and finances.
That practicality probably resonates strongly in a place like Cuba, where daily life can be so unpredictable. But this idea of seeking tangible solutions, doesn't that sometimes clash with the belief that the Orishas are powerful deities? I mean, if they can intervene in human affairs, why do people still face hardship?
That's a question that really gets at the heart of a lot of faiths, doesn't it? Why do bad things happen, even to good people? There are different perspectives on it within Santeria itself. Some believe that suffering is a test of faith. Others see it as a consequence of past actions.
It's a reminder that faith doesn't always offer easy answers. Sometimes it's about finding strength and solace in the face of the unknown, about holding on to hope even when things seem bleak.
Precisely. And for many, Santeria provides a framework for understanding and coping with that uncertainty. It's not about escaping hardship, but navigating it with the support of the Orishas in the community.
That makes a lot of sense. But what about the potential for exploitation? Our source mentions concerns about people using their religion for personal gain. Is that a significant issue within Santeria?
It's a valid concern, as with any belief system. There will always be those who might try to manipulate or exploit others. However, the focus of our source is really on the positive aspects of Santeria's resurgence, its ability to empower individuals and strengthen communities.
It's a good reminder that even within a single religion, there will be different perspectives, different interpretations, and unfortunately, sometimes even bad actors.
It's true.
But focusing on the positive, how has this resurgence impacted the way Santeria is viewed in Cuban society? Is there still a stigma attached to it?
Well, the fact that it's becoming more visible, more openly practiced, suggests that the stigma is lessening. However, it's important to remember that Cuba has a long history of religious syncretism. Santeria isn't the only faith that has blended with Catholicism.
That's true. It's a culture that's used to navigating different belief systems. But back to the United States for a moment, the Supreme Court ruling allowing animal sacrifice, was that a turning point for Santeria's acceptance in American society?
It was certainly a significant moment,
Yeah.
both legally and culturally. The ruling affirmed the right to religious freedom, but it also thrust Santeria into the public spotlight, sometimes in a negative way.
I imagine it probably fueled some misconceptions and prejudices, while for others, it might have been an eye-opening experience, a chance to learn about a faith they'd never really considered before.
Exactly. It highlighted those challenges of reconciling deeply held religious beliefs with societal norms. And it sparked these really important conversations about religious tolerance and understanding.
So in a way, it forced people to confront their own biases and grapple with the complexities of a faith that's often misunderstood. But that's what these deep dives are all about, right? Shedding light on the unfamiliar, exploring different perspectives, and ultimately broadening our understanding of the world.
You've hit the nail on the head. Santeria is a perfect example of a tradition that on the surface might seem strange or even unsettling. But when we take the time to delve deeper, to understand its history, its beliefs, its rituals, we discover this rich tapestry of human experience, resilience, and faith.
Speaking of discovering, our sources have given us a lot to think about, but I still have a lingering question about this idea of balance and reciprocity with the Orishas. We're told they keep track of offerings, but what does that really mean? Is it a literal tally, a cosmic balance sheet?
That's a fascinating question.
Yeah.
And to understand it, we need to delve a little deeper into the Yoruba cosmology, the worldview that underpins Santeria. It's definitely complex, but at its core, it's about balance.
Yeah.
The Aruba believe that everything in the universe is interconnected, and that includes the Orishas. When humans make offerings, it's not about bribing the deities or, trying to earn points.
Right.
It's about acknowledging that connection, that give and take.
So more like maintaining a harmonious flow between the human and the divine.
Exactly. We're not separate from the Orishas. We're all part of this larger cosmic web. Our actions, our intentions, they ripple outward. Offerings are a way to show respect, to show gratitude, and to seek guidance and support.
That makes sense. Not about keeping score, but nurturing a relationship. But getting back to Santeria's resurgence, especially in Cuba, do you think this renewed interest is just about reclaiming cultural identity, or is there more to it?
I think it's multifaceted. Yeah, there's a strong element of cultural pride, for sure, especially as Cuba's kind of figuring out its identity in the 21st century. But it's also about searching for meaning. In a world that's changing so rapidly, Santeria offers this framework that's grounded in tradition, but it's flexible too.
It's an interesting paradox, isn't it? This ancient faith, roots in West Africa, brought to the Americas through slavery, and now it's finding this whole new life in a globalized world. It really speaks to the power of human spirituality, I think.
Absolutely, and it shows how fluid culture can be too. Santeria isn't frozen in time. It's always evolving, taking in new influences, adapting.
That's what's so fascinating about exploring these topics. It challenges how we think about religion, about culture. It reminds us that nothing stays the same.
Right, nothing's fixed. Everything's in flux.
And that's a good lesson, especially now when things feel so polarized, so divided.
I agree. Santeria, with that history of syncretism, how it blends and adapts, it's a powerful model for how we can understand and tolerate each other.
You've touched on something really important. In a world where we often see differences as threats, Santeria shows us that diversity can be a strength.
You can.
It can bring creativity and resilience. It shows us we can hold on to our own traditions and still embrace the richness of other cultures.
Exactly. Santeria is a testament to how adaptable humans are to the spirit of faith and to that ever-changing tapestry of culture.
Well said. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive into Santeria. But before we go, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought. If Santeria, with its unique mix of traditions and its ability to not just survive, but to thrive in the face of oppression, if it can teach us anything, it's that faith and culture are not static. They evolve. They're living, breathing forces shaped by human experience. And in our world that's constantly changing, that ability to adapt, to evolve, to welcome the new while honoring the old, that might just be the key to not just surviving, but thriving. So keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep your minds open to the infinite possibilities of human belief and expression.
Wonderful. Couldn't agree more.